The phone rang in Miami, and in that moment, the direction of an entire franchise quietly shifted, because this wasn't just another coaching interview. This was a power move that could redefine the Dolphins for the next decade. The question wasn't whether Kevin Stefanski could coach. The real question was whether Miami was ready for what he actually brings. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this decision sent shockwaves through NFL circles even before the ink was dry. Miami had just pulled the trigger on Mike McDaniel, a move that stunned fans who believed creativity and vibes could outweigh results forever. McDaniel changed the culture, no doubt. He made the Dolphins cool again. But cool doesn't win championships, and Miami's front office finally admitted what many around the league had been whispering for months. This team needed structure, accountability, and someone who could survive January football, not just dominate September highlights. That's where Kevin Stefanski enters the story. Stefanski didn't walk into this interview desperate. He walked in knowing he was one of the most coveted coaching minds available. Two-time AP Coach of the Year, 2 playoff appearances with Cleveland, a franchise that historically eats coaches alive. 6 seasons navigating instability, quarterback chaos, and constant pressure. And yet, despite a 45-56 record that critics love to throw around, the league sees something deeper. They see a coach who builds systems, not just schemes. Adam Schefter's report confirmed what insiders had been hinting at. Miami didn't just kick the tires. They sat down with Stefanski and had a real conversation about leadership, roster vision, and the future of this franchise. This wasn't casual. This was calculated. Because when a team fires a coach like Mike McDaniel, they're not looking for another experiment. They're looking for control. Think about the timing. Stefanski had already met with the Giants, Raiders, Titans, Ravens, and Falcons. That list alone tells you everything. These are franchises at crossroads, teams that believe they're one decision away from relevance or collapse. Miami didn't want to be late to the party. They wanted to be decisive. But what makes Stefanski so attractive, especially after Cleveland moved on? The Browns' years weren't clean. They were messy, complicated, and often unfairly summarized by that losing record. But context matters. Stefanski inherited a roster with talent, but no identity. He stabilized it. He gave Cleveland something it hadn't had in decades: belief. Under his watch, the Browns didn't just sneak into the playoffs once. They did it twice. And in 2020, he won Coach of the Year by proving that discipline and preparation could still matter in a league obsessed with innovation. Then he did it again in 2023. That second award wasn't a fluke. It was validation. It told the league that Stefanski wasn't just a one-season wonder. He was adaptable. He evolved his offense. He handled adversity. And perhaps most importantly, players trusted him. That trust is currency in the NFL. And Miami is desperate for it right now. The Dolphins' roster is talented, explosive, and fragile. Speed everywhere. Stars on both sides of the ball. But when the weather turns cold, when defenses adjust, when the playoffs expose weaknesses, Miami folds. That's not a talent issue. That's a preparation issue. And Miami's front office knows it. That's why Stefanski wasn't just another name on a list. He represented a philosophical shift. This interview wasn't about play design. It was about control of the locker room. It was about whether Stefanski could bring a sense of order to a team that's lived on the edge of chaos. Miami wanted to know how he'd manage stars, expectations, and pressure. They wanted to know how he'd handle a fan base that's starving for relevance beyond highlight reels. And here's where the story gets interesting. Because while Stefanski was in demand, Miami wasn't obligated to rush. They listened, they evaluated, and then they made a decision that quietly sent a message across the league. They didn't immediately hand him the job. They didn't leak praise-filled quotes. They took their time. That patience tells you something. Miami is done being impulsive. Around the league, executives noticed. Miami wasn't chasing headlines. They were chasing stability. Stefanski's track record, especially in Cleveland, shows a coach who thrives when expectations are realistic and systems are trusted. Miami wants that. They want a coach who can build week to week, not just scheme his way past bad teams. Critics will point to the Browns' record and say Miami should aim higher. But those critics often ignore how rare it is for Cleveland to even sniff relevance. Stefanski made the Browns functional. That alone puts him in elite company. And when you strip away emotion and look at process, Miami's interest makes perfect sense. The Dolphins' decision after the interview wasn't loud, but it was deliberate. They acknowledged Stefanski as a serious candidate without rushing to crown him. That restraint is new for Miami. It suggests a front office that's finally learning from past mistakes. No more falling in love with style. No more chasing trends. Just football substance. Stefanski, for his part, understands the stakes. Miami is not Cleveland. Expectations are higher. The spotlight is brighter. But the opportunity is also greater. A talented roster. A committed ownership group. A chance to prove that his coaching philosophy can translate anywhere. This interview wasn't just about Miami evaluating him. It was about him evaluating Miami. And that's what makes this moment so fascinating. Two sides, both burned by past decisions, cautiously circling each other. Miami wants leadership. Stefanski wants alignment. Neither wants another short-term failure. The league is watching because this pairing, if it happens, could alter competitive balance in the AFC. Imagine a Dolphins team built on discipline rather than flash. Imagine January football where Miami doesn't wilt. That's the vision Stefanski brings. It's not glamorous, but it's effective. And effectiveness is what wins championships. The coaching market this offseason has been ruthless. Jobs open and close quickly. Narratives form overnight. Stefanski's name staying hot tells you the league's opinion of him hasn't changed despite Cleveland moving on. If anything, his stock may have risen. Teams see him as proven, battle-tested, and misunderstood by surface-level analysis. Miami's decision to interview him, then pause, reflects confidence. They're not afraid of missing out. They're not desperate. That alone is a shift in identity. And it raises a question every Dolphins fan should be asking themselves right now. Do you want excitement, or do you want consistency? Because Stefanski offers one more than the other. Behind closed doors, this interview likely focused on details fans never hear about. Practice structure, staff building, player accountability. These are the unsexy parts of coaching that separate contenders from pretenders. Miami finally seems ready to prioritize them. The league has changed, but fundamentals still matter. Stefanski represents a bridge between old-school discipline and modern adaptability. He's not rigid. He's not reckless. He's calculated. And for a franchise like Miami, calculation might be exactly what's needed. This isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a chess match. Other teams want Stefanski. Miami knows it. Stefanski knows it. Every move from here on out will be strategic. And when a final decision is made, it will say everything about what the Dolphins truly believe they are. So here's the real question, and this one matters. Was firing Mike McDaniel the necessary step toward real success? Or did Miami just risk losing its identity in pursuit of stability? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this decision could define the Dolphins for years to come. And NFL Tactics is where we break down what it really means.